so mad, we're so glad you tuned into Lady Probs. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back to Lady Probs. As you can see, I have this lovely covering over my face because today we are talking about masculinity. Yep. Basically, to give you the gist of what we're talking about is why women are more likely to wear masks than men, even though men happen to be more affected. Interesting. I think we came over this topic because when you walk down the street, you actually notice more women wearing masks than men. And, you know, you've seen in the news that there's like celebrities where men are wearing more masks than women. Even the president of the United States isn't started off not wearing a mask versus his wife, the first lady, wore a mask. So it's interesting, that dynamic. And I just wanted to begin with stating some facts here. I'm sure since we've been in the pandemic for so long now that we know the gist. But basically, the CDC recommends that you stay 6 feet apart from each other. You wash your hands or use hand sanitizer, usually both. You avoid touching your face, eyes, mouth, things like that. You wear a mask that covers your nose and your mouth too. And if you are feeling symptoms like fever, cough, shortness of breath, anything like that, you do stay home and you quarantine yourself for at least 7 or 14 days. You know, COVID spreads from person to person, and it's through respiratory droplets. So whenever a person coughs or talks or sneezes, through their nose or their mouth too, which is very important. And the CDC actually says that the only reason why you shouldn't wear a mask is if you have things like asthma or respiratory problems, if you have intense anxiety like claustrophobia, if you have some sort of developmental disability such as autism, or if you're an infant. So before we even say like, hey, that person's not wearing a mask, get them. People have certain circumstances where maybe they shouldn't be wearing a mask. So that's just what the CDC recommends. And there's some interesting stats we found online too, where men are actually dying twice the rate as women. Like, why is that? Older men specifically. It says here that even though like masks protect us, masks don't give 100% guarantee. They definitely protect us at least 20% more than not wearing a mask. So basically it's like, why are these men doing this? And like, how do women feel about it? You know? So I just wanted to ask you first, Brittany, what do you think masks symbolize? Like, why are we choosing to wear masks?
I mean, personally, I'm choosing to wear a mask because as a person who is part of the scientific community, I will follow the professional recommendations. There's a reason why these individuals get paid to study this, and I trust their word. They do this every day. They know the medicine behind it, and the fact that we don't have... It's such a new strain of coronavirus. We don't have medication for it. There's not a cure. There is a long list of symptoms that continues to build every week based on individual cases. It's just so new that why wouldn't you take, even if, let's just hypothetically say that masks don't work, but if there's a
why
reason...
take that chance?
Why take that chance?
Yeah.
With the unknown?
Mm-hmm.
It's new to everybody. Like, it's just... Why wouldn't you want to do the bare minimum to protect your family and to protect others? It's really... Yeah. It's an unfortunate situation that we're in, and I think, in my perspective... It's gotten worse because of the hostility that you see.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember, too, that someone very close to me has had organ transplants before, and they told me that they, like, you have to wear a mask exactly like this whenever you have an organ transplant. And you do that because you want to avoid getting any type of illness like cold or fever. And this actually protects you from someone else giving it to you. So this wearing masks aren't a new concept. It's been in the medical field, and it's proven to work, especially people with low immune systems.
Exactly.
When you do have an organ transplant. I think for me, masks, even if they don't work in a hypothetical world, even if they don't work, it still makes me feel safe inside. It makes me feel like I'm protecting people around me. I'm protecting my loved ones. I'm protecting myself. And I'm participating in also not being around people, staying 6 feet apart, but it really is a security blanket for me. I feel better when I wear a mask. And I always, like, I know it's hard being mindful, especially for grabbing stuff and running out the door, but I always have my mask. Even when I'm sitting down at a restaurant, whenever the waitress or waiter comes over, pull it up over my face.
Yep, we do that too. You know, even if you're in like the Dunkin' drive-thru, I always wear it if I know that I'm going to be around a person. I take it. I don't necessarily, like, when I go on hikes, I have it on me at all times, and I'll wear it around my neck, but once I see somebody, I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
It's in one of the issues that and that just, like, pisses me off so much is you mentioned fear. For you, it's you know, a security blanket for you. And then there's the flip side where folks are saying, well, it's just fear mongering. Like, the media is just making us scared of this. Yeah, it's scary. Over 200,000 Americans have died so far.
Yeah.
America in general is one of the worst countries out of all the countries. And that's the piece that's missing for me is we're talking about, there's always a comparison to the H1N1 outbreak. There's always a comparison to the
Ebola.
1918 influenza outbreak. What about the United States compared to all the other countries now in this current pandemic? There's a reason why Europe shut us down. Like, hello. From the moment that coronavirus was announced in March, I just knew, knowing our administration, knowing the Americans, and how, one, that it's an election year, two, just how divided our country has been, you just knew it was going to be a shit show.
There's so much tension with it. I don't understand how wearing a mask or not wearing a mask has associated with your political views, but that's besides the point. But even, you know, wearing latex gloves actually helps you too in this pandemic because it avoids you from getting contact on your skin. And I don't understand why there's not riots against gloves too. You know, the mask has just become such a symbol in this pandemic, in this complex question we're trying to answer, of like, how do we save lives? Is this even real? There's so much conspiracy theory, especially with social media nowadays. There's so much, we're living in an age of disinformation that it's hard to pan through all of this literally information being thrown at us.
And I think that's such an important case that you make right now, Kaylee. Like, as you know, and maybe our listeners know too, I was a media studies major. This is literally what I studied for my degree, and it's no secret that the media is biased. Like, it's not a secret. You know, there's a reason why Fox News versus CNN. Like, it's no secret. However, there is something called the unbiased media chart, and it does show, you know, the accuracy versus low accuracy, the liberal versus conservative side, and all the information. And then there's this thing called, like, the perfect square, which shows your unbiased media sources. My problem is everybody that is against masks is sharing information outside of the box, whereas you need to take the extra steps to go find a source that is in that unbiased perfect square.
Yeah.
That's where you can get your information. Exactly. Scholarly essays and
journals, things like that.
And keeping in mind during this pandemic, it's new to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you heard one tidbit of information back in July or June does not mean it's the same. We're learning new stuff about this every single day.
Yeah.
Literally from yesterday to today, information has changed. So don't take and, lock that information in your head. Because
it's not concrete.
It's not concrete. You have to be flexible. The fact is, we don't have enough research because it's a new disease. It's so new. There's not enough time. It's
mm-hmm.
Nobody could have expected this.
No, nobody could have prepared. And it's just, you have to take it day by day. And as of right now, just this week, there may be information that it's airborne. I think it's also very important. Obviously, Brittany and I are for masks, for protecting other people. But whenever you answer a complex question, it's always valuable to look at what the other side has to say. Because sometimes you're actually fighting with the same values, but just a different reason why. So looking at, why would you, as a male, why would you choose not to wear a mask? You mentioned fear-mongering before.
Taking away our rights is a reason I've heard up and down the tiers.
My question is what about the people who claim that they have a medical reason for not wearing a mask? That's why I mentioned maybe we shouldn't judge so fast because someone might have a developmental challenge. Someone might have a medical reason why.
I completely understand that, Kaylee. And as you know, being my sibling, I've had asthma my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing new. Both our mother and myself have asthma. However, for me, the issue lies when somebody comes at you in such a negative way, yelling.
Yeah.
They need to understand that businesses are just following state mandates.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, licenses get taken away. This summer, I spent 14 hours working at a restaurant with a mask on all the time. And I have asthma, and I had not had a problem. I brought my inhaler in. I drank lots of water.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the bathroom when I needed to and pulled down my mask just to have a breather. However, the issue lies when somebody comes at you in a nasty tone and says, well, I have asthma, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
It's calm
you
down.
You can say it in a nicer way.
Yeah.
I will, because we also are a small family business. We have to follow the law.
Yeah.
So many stores. We heard about that store in Pennsylvania where the gentleman then brought a gun and held the cashiers hostage because they were asked to wear a mask.
Yeah.
No, if you are
that's just escalating the situation to somewhere unnecessary.
If you feel like it's taking away your rights, you have to also understand that in order to help the economy, businesses have to do what they need to do to follow the law and stay open.
Yeah.
So you can't have that double, you can't win. You can't have a win-win situation. If you feel that you don't want to wear a mask, send a representative from your family that will wear a mask into the store.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing for me too, I actually host out a restaurant as well. Brittany and I both work in restaurants. Yes.
Server life.
I'm not actually a server though. I'm a busser and a host, but we're getting there. But I was hosting last night, and being in Vermont, a lot of people, we have a lot of tourists and stuff, which we love tourism here. We encourage it. We love visitors.
We thrive off of it.
We welcome people in. But the reason why Vermont has been so good during coronavirus is because I believe our community is very mindful of our impact on environmental causes and also to each other. We're very mindful and compassionate of each other. And that's why our numbers were so low, because we wore masks, we distanced, you know what I mean? And so I would say 85% of the time you have people that come up to me and they're both wearing a mask. Sometimes there's below their nose, which bugs me, but I'm like, okay, at least it's on their face. I had someone last night, happened to be two girls, and one of them had their face covering and another they were wearing their mask but under their chin. And they were like, oh, can we walk through to the other side? And I was like, sure, but you just need to put your mask up. Mm-hmm. And the girl looked at me and she did it, but she said, yeah, I can do that for you. Like that. And I was like, whoa.
You're coming out? You want your rights? Well, guess what? You still have to follow the law. Like, that's...
But the thing for me is, like, look, if you for some reason don't want to wear the mask because of your religion, because you think it's violating your human rights, because of a medical reason, because you think it's a conspiracy, like, okay. Like, I accept your view, like, whatever. But if you're physically wearing your mask around your neck, like, you acknowledge we're in a pandemic.
What's the point?
And me asking you to lift your mask over your face, I'm like, why are you wearing it then? If you're gonna, like, be like that. And I've heard this argument too where it's like, why do we have to wear a mask for 5 seconds walking through a restaurant when we're just gonna take it off again? And it's like, think about it this way. You're thinking about you wearing a mask, but think about all the people you're passing by tables. Think about the servers and the bussers and the managers who work at this restaurant. You're not only protecting
hundreds of people.
You're protecting the staff around you who are taking literally their lives to serve you.
They're serving you and your family.
To keep
That's
the economy going
you
and
could
keep
do.
Their families going too.
And on that point, I served this summer in Maine, in a beach town that also thrived off of tourism. And the comments that I received, I never in my days would have expected just such rude, mean comments.
It's it's honestly Christmas in July.
I've heard, why aren't you going fast enough? Why aren't you doing this? Why do I have to wear a mask? Why? I. And, you know, why aren't you open for dine-in seating? Why do I only have an outside table? Why is serving taking so long? To those individuals, let me just tell you, the first weekend that we were even allowed to be somewhat open, not for takeout, we only had 10 tables outside. Mm-hmm. Think about, let's do some math here.
Let's take a breather and think about this.
Let's do some math here.
Yeah.
If normally the table is, I would say, 20 feet inside the building, if you're moving the table 20 feet outside, think about how many steps, extra step that I have to take. And we only had 2 servers.
And you're working a 6-hour shift already. So
I'm
you're
already
already
14
3 hours in.
So to that point, Kaylee, people are like, well, why are you so tired? I actually got that question. Well, we're a family business. Understaffed because it relies on international students to work for the summer. And guess what? With a travel ban, there are no students. Mm-hmm. And no Americans wanted to work because the extra stimulus was still in the unemployment package. Yeah. So nobody wanted to work this summer that was American. And so my partner and I literally were the only 2 servers that would serve all day long on the weekends. And then you're asking me for salt. I'm going back and forth to get salt. Then you're asking me for pepper. Give me a list of what you want and I'll go get it. And then I had this woman spit on me. She actually physically spit on me because she didn't like her service.
Wow.
And so that's where you're going with it. Like, you have to... That was like the lowest of the lows.
And in this climate where the CDC literally lays out, it's through droplets. Like, spitting on someone isn't just like I hate you, diss on you type of thing. It's literally
hoping I get sick,
someone and wanting them to die.
Well, that was her hope. Like, why wouldn't you just say, okay, well, I'd like to speak to the manager, which the manager has my back.
Yelp, please. Like, please.
Not like, we didn't even care. We didn't even look at reviews this year. Yeah. But I did glance at them and they were just awful. Yeah. Like, the service is slow. People were complaining that not us, but other restaurants were doing a 10% surcharge. Well, guess what? We don't have as many tables. Yeah. How do you expect us to pay rent, pay taxes, pay all the... How do you expect us... And then, sorry, I'm just going to keep on with my little rant. the last thing that individuals coming in does not know about is that there was a food shortage this year because of the weather.
That's why there's limited menus too and stuff like that.
Well, the weather that was happening in Iowa and California.
Mm-hmm.
So there's other factors. So instead of asking, oh, do you mind me asking why the service was slow? Yeah, I'll give you a reason. Instead, you get into my face and yell through the door because we have not acknowledged, and we don't have we have 2 people serving a dining room full of 20 tables. We don't have a host.
On a more positive note, there are people out there who I've experienced in my service where they're super kind. They make sure to clean up their table so I don't need to touch their napkins, even though I am wearing gloves. There are people out there who are being mindful in this certain climate, and we do appreciate all the kindness and positivity and appreciation and patience. Why are women following the rules? And this isn't all women. You know, we're talking about...
This is a trend.
Studies and trends that we see going on, especially on the internet. Not all women are following the rules. Not all men aren't following the rules, you know? So, but why do you think mostly women are following the rules?
I think, one, it has to do with social... I don't want to say, like, social acceptance, but women tend to follow trends. They, you know, I think what has helped is the fact that a lot of companies, a lot of creators have made, like, customizable masks.
So, like influencers?
Yeah, there's that fashion aspect of it. And then also the fact that they are a little bit more caring. I just got that one in the mail today. Super excited. They are more caring. Yeah. That's as simple as that.
I honestly think it's because women are conditioned to be people pleasers.
That too.
That's literally what I think. That's why you have women saying sorry way more than men. That's why you see like literally women following more rules than men. I think it has to do with the fact that men want to show that they are strong and better than this invisible enemy, whereas women are here to people please. And I feel like if it was the other way around, if men were wearing masks and women weren't and decided, like, heck with it, I think women would get teared up by the media, being like, oh, she's being over dramatic, she's being the B word that rhymes with witchy, you know? That's how I take it.
I'm curious, and this thought just popped into my head, so obviously we don't have research on it, but I'm curious from a medical standpoint if thinking about the women who now have to homeschool their kids, if more women left their jobs in order to homeschool their kids, if more women lost their jobs in this pandemic, I'm curious if that had effect on health insurance also, how that would affect the numbers. And that's always something in my head. Like, if I lose my job, I don't have medical insurance. Like, yeah, I'd wear a mask more often. So I'm wondering if that also has a little bit of a factor of it.
Yeah, that definitely might be a factor in it. There's so many lenses we can go into this with. But I just see it as, I think women are groomed and conditioned to be people pleasers, and that's why.
And on the flip side, we see so many males nowadays just being so argumentative, especially when it comes to the political climate. It's just all I get is arguing. Like, that's all I see is the hostility, the arguments, the bashing, the all the derogatory comments. It's just and I see it more from males.
Speaking of that, Brittany and I actually had something happen with a person we know. So, someone very close to us actually argued that they don't want to wear a mask because they thought it was gay.
It made them look gay.
It made them look gay. And I was like, hold on 1 minute. Can we just like break that down?
First of all, what does a gay person even look like?
Yeah, I was like, what are you?
I'm pretty sure it has nothing to do with appearance.
Yeah, or sexual orientation or
in general, like
whatever.
It has nothing to do with that.
But that's just the kind of like, I don't know if it's an excuse or like overly aggressive thing that like men present to be like, oh, like I feel like when they say, oh, something's gay, maybe they're referring to it being more feminine or
I don't
weaker.
even know. Like
what
knowing
is the connotation behind it?
Knowing this person, I'm assuming what they meant was it makes them look more feminine. Or that's just what I'm assuming is what the replacement would be. However, that is no excuse to say that, especially when this family member works in a food environment.
And is over the age of 65.
Works in the food environment and said they won't wear one in their restaurant environment. Like, that's...
Mm-hmm. I think they were referring to it makes them look weak.
Or emasculate, like, less masculine.
Yeah.
I just...
Like, people are being told what to do, and, you know, Americans don't like being told what to do. And as soon as that, it's an infringement of human rights. But I'm actually taking a class this semester in college about human rights, and instead of talking about specific human rights, we're talking about, like, behind the scenes of human rights, like, what even is a natural right versus something more like social or economic right. So you think of like not murdering people is a right, you know, like you have the right to live.
So why, going back to that, why I'm just gonna straight up ask the question. If so many individuals are pro-life, why are they taking this stance that they are anti-maskers?
I honestly think it's an influence of political discourse. Like, I think that coming out of the White House, the words that was spoken by our leader and role models are the reason why people are saying this. I actually had this thought earlier in the pandemic, like around July. I was like, could you imagine if Trump actually was like, all right, everybody, masks, free masks for everyone. We're getting this done. We're funding more research than military. Like, let's get it done. I feel like a lot of people would be like, heck yeah, the coronavirus is real. Like, wear your goddamn mask. Like, you know.
Yeah. So speaking of Donnie T, I was reading this morning that, so everybody knows that Trump has COVID-19.
Had COVID-19 because apparently he's cured now over 3 days.
Well, speaking of that, so did you know that the miraculous drug that was given to him that allowed him to be released not even 2 days later was not FDA approved? I'm not 100% sure if it was FDA tested. However, it did have to deal with embryo stem cell research, which... Of course.
Cough, cough, abortion, cough, cough.
Which, of course, they are against stem cell research in their political platform. So how could you accept a medicine that is against your platform? And then still, I don't believe that his supporters even take the time to research that, honestly. Like, it's not a miracle that he freaking got up and left the hospital. Obviously, there's something behind it, because guess what? Other Republican GOP party members like Chris Christie are still in the hospital. So how is it that he miraculously left Walter Reed and is back doing his thing?
Over a weekend. Like, it was a long weekend.
And there's 25-year-olds who are still having breathing problems months later. So why? It's not some miracle drug. It's science. So... Please
wear your mask.
Please wear your mask. It is science. It's not a hoax. It's not fake news. Like, this is real. No matter if you're female, male, teenager, an older individual,
a 5-year-old.
It doesn't matter. Anybody could catch it, and it does actually have repercussions. And remember that you don't have the power of the president's health care that is paid for by your taxes.
Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to bring up another point. When we see cis males showing aggression, that is what we call toxic masculinity. And masculinity, I just have a definition here. It's also called like manlyhood, manliness. It's a set of attributes, behaviors, roles associated with boys and men. It's distinct from the definition of biological male sex, as both males and females can exhibit masculine traits. So when we talk about masculinity, we talk about how other men groom younger boys to show these aggression, these fit into like roles or behaviors. So like example, when you have a father who is wrestling with his 12-year-old son in the living room, right? Dad wouldn't wrestle with a girl. Mom wouldn't wrestle with her daughter. When you buy a toy vacuum cleaner for your little girl, or a baby doll, or a kitchen set, that's grooming your young girl to be someone who cleans up and like motherly. Which there's no problem with teaching someone to take care of a baby and to clean. It's just that when you think about these things, ask yourself, would we do it to the other sex? Like, would you give a vacuum cleaner as a birthday present to your young 5-year-old son?
Yeah.
Would you wrestle your daughter in the backyard? Would mom wrestle your daughter in the backyard?
I mean, we would wrestle and nobody would break it up, but
yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Even though like we both identify as female, like the fact that like we also played karate, wrestle in the backyard also shows like masculine traits.
Yeah. And I think that this does play an effect across a lifetime. That's exactly why we see men nowadays, cis men, refusing and getting so aggravated over the tiniest thing, is they feel like they need to, either they don't have an appropriate outlet for that anger. You know, why do you think that some men use self-care techniques such as mindfulness, such as meditation, and then some men just, they don't know what to do with it, so they punch a wall?
Yeah.
Like, you never was
Andy Dwyer in The Office.
Yeah, you were never taught to release that anxiety, release that tension, release that anger, release that stress in a safe environment.
And I also want to talk about some characteristics of toxic masculinity. There's when being dominant, like needing to have the final word. Being violent, like punching a wall to prove you're masculine. Praising other people for sexual conquest, reacting negatively to homosexuality, aka that family member, a person who can endure pain or hardship without showing their feelings. You know, I feel like our society has put men in a box labeled toxic masculinity, where men feel like they can't cry, men feel like they can't wear anything except what the men's department shows them. They feel like they need to be stronger for their family and take on the world, which no, that's not.
You can share
correct.
the stress and the load a little bit.
Yeah, like wear a mask. It doesn't show that you're weak. It shows that you're strong and you're doing your part for your community and for your loved ones too.
Exactly.
So that's all I have to say about that. Brittany, do you have any other thing you want to comment on?
I don't think so. As far as the mask situation and just whole COVID-19 pandemic is, please don't think that just because we wear a mask and we prefer to stay inside more than, you know, expose ourselves by doing different things. Please don't think that we are not aware that this thing is going to go on for a while. Like, if we don't do our part now, it's going to go on forever. So please don't think that, you know, we like these conditions.
No.
You know, it's not that we're accepting these conditions. We just want it done faster, you know, and it's not, society will never go back to normal if everybody doesn't do their part.
Also, like, in the most positive light ever, if you get anything out of this, like, think of the mask as, like, an extension of your personality. Like, you can wear your favorite football team on it, or these lovely flowers that Brittany got that I really want from the website you bought. Like,
yeah, I got them I got this one off of Etsy. I'm going to a wedding next weekend, which is less than 50 people. FYI, please don't
at me.
Please don't at me. It's outside and it's going to be like 40 degrees. So yeah. Anyway, so this is just another way. You've seen so many businesses have to pivot what their normal operations look like in order to survive this pandemic and stay open. So support your local businesses. That's the other thing is so many individuals are ordering off of Amazon. We see Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, getting insanely richer and not giving back to his community.
Yeah.
So take that power away from those individuals. Don't go to the larger corporations. Go to your small business.
Call your local bookstore and go find out what they have.
Go, the libraries are now open for curbside. Go support. What we did is we did takeout every payday, which is every 2 weeks. We used to pick a different business and do takeout to support them.
Yeah.
Go write a review. Go on Yelp and write a good review.
Go on Instagram and support the girl who's trying to get through college and has her own jewelry company.
Yep. It's taking the power away from the individuals who have already had advantages in their life. And, I just think it's so admirable for the individuals who have particularly been supporting Black-owned businesses. I have ordered clothes off of Black-owned businesses, which took a little bit more research and it's a little bit more money. But you know what? It's worth it. If I have the ability to spread the equity and equality a little bit, I will choose to do so. And I feel like more individuals need to have that mindset that what you have, somebody may not have. So can we spread the wealth a little bit and the care?
Adding to the mask conversation some more, I also have to say, when we see the male versus female debate with masks, it's not just population, it's family units. You see a couple, maybe a husband and a wife, two partners together, and one's wearing a mask and one isn't wearing a mask. And I just have to say, for those women who are in that relationship, like, feel free to speak up to your partner. And I know it's weird, conflicted, like, bringing up something so controversial, but, like, I always, whenever, I tend to be more mindful than my boyfriend, and I'm always like, hey, did you wash your hands when we came back from the post office? Did you bring your mask with you? Wear your mask. Get your mask out right now. Like, because I'm in this relationship, like, I want to be accountable for my partner as well and remind them that, like, hey, you're not only taking care of yourself, but you're also taking care of me, someone you love, someone very close to you.
Exactly. And, to your point of people pleasing, well, you also need to take care of yourself too. Please keep that in mind to all the individuals, whether you're male, female, whoever you identify as. Take care of yourself during this because, as I said, it's not going to go away anytime soon. Make sure you are plugging in time to go outside in a safe environment. Go
take
hiking.
Care of your mental health, please.
Yeah, go take a bike ride. My outlet is arts and crafts. Like, I'll make myself a cup of tea and sit outside and color, literally, in a coloring book. Yeah. Like, it's if you're taking care of yourself, you are able to take care of others just even more so on a higher level. So, and also to your point, Kaylee, to those individuals who are in relationships where one wears a mask and one does not, if you want to be that person that's taking care of that relationship, which was one of the traits of
toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the way to do so? Is to not,
Yeah.
to not infect them? So
Yeah.
it's very contradictory. Just wear your mask. It's literally the bare minimum that you can do.
Just be mindful.
Yep.
Just be mindful.
Yeah.
That's all we ask.
So
Kind words.
yeah. So to wrap up this, that's all we have for today. But
Mhm.
we
It's
are
gorgeous,
just wishing
lovely
that
things.
everyone is safe, and if we can all come together and wear the mask and
Just be kind to.
be kind, don't do anything stupid, don't spit on people, don't, please be mindful that businesses are just following the law.
Yeah.
It's
And
yeah.
that everyone wants to go back to whatever normal is. And when I say normal, in air quotes, it's because the pandemic is bringing out situations we haven't realized before, because life was so familiar and comfortable for us that the coronavirus forced us to think about things that we haven't before.
that are uncomfortable.
Yeah, that are uncomfortable. So this is the time in life to face those uncomfortable situations and speak up. Like, you
Yeah.
have a voice, speak up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, I'm not just talking about on the internet. I'm not talking to your political views. Talk to your family unit. Talk to those men who you see close to you who are exhibiting toxic masculinity. Educate, read books, spread awareness. Take a human rights class, please.
Yep.
I'm learning so much, and it's making me realize both sides of the situation and how we can come together and compromise on it. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Just be kind and don't be afraid to speak up. Yeah.
And we'll see you next time on Lady Probs. This is Brittany and Kaylee signing off.
Yay! Please like and subscribe. Tell us what you think on Instagram. I love to hear all your beautiful comments and lovely faces. So, all right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Lady Probs. Nice. I giggled at the end.
I love that though.